Good evening and welcome to the High Performance Show with me, Amir Arjun, where we showcase ordinary South Africans under 30 living extraordinary lives. Today's special guest is Ben Giliomee, a man with a thirst for adventure, living life to the fullest and just living his authentic dream. Ben is a marketing graduate from Stellenbosch, as well as being the owner of Honey Custom Apparel. Now, he is living a new adventure, pursuing his dreams in Hungary. Ben, welcome to our show.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me, Kamir.
You know, Ben, I've always admired your endurance capacity. You're a man who just likes to be outdoors and has a long history of just, being an outdoorsman in the multiple facets from swim, bike, and run. Please tell us your story. How did you get into this endurance sports world?
Yeah, sure. I guess not too much on the swimming side of it, as I'm sure you witnessed some of my growth and learning in that department in the pool. But yeah, with cycling, for sure, that's probably my strongest background. Growing up, just sharing a love for the mountains and stuff with my dad and my sister. Yeah, and grew up in a town called Knysna, so it was the perfect spot to do it. Surrounded by forests, and yeah, that's I guess where it all started.
And tell me more about the specific races you've done. I know I've always seen you on Strava posting some like a 200K ride or something massive. Some people dream of riding just to the corner shop and back. So please, tell us about these big events that you've done.
Yeah, in terms of the big cycling events, there's an event called the Transpavillons. Pretty much crosses through a bit of the Karoo. I think it's about 220 kilometers of mountain biking, but mostly on district roads. And yeah, growing up, always there's a support team behind each team, and was always doing the support with my dad for some other Knysna locals. And yeah, just from the first time after doing that, was hooked and knew I had to do it one day. Just had to wait for the age bracket to tick over when I was allowed to do it.
Yes.
So the year I turned 18, I did my first one with my dad, I think, and yeah, two of his mates. So that was really epic to share that experience with him, and I think I've done another 2 or so since. Yeah, that I guess is probably the furthest I've been on a bicycle.
That is fantastic. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. And to think you would have probably seen such unique places that most wouldn't have traveled in these exotic races, eh?
Yeah, I guess that's the big attraction of doing this sort of stuff. It forces you to see new beauties, and this I'm sure as you've seen as well that South Africa just has so much to offer in terms of outdoor space.
100%. I mean that's the same reason why I enjoy the trail running. For me, I think like triathlon and road running is, I sort of see it as a job, like a way of life where you just have to get through the repetition and the consistency. But when you're out there in the bush or in a trail, in your case, a mountain bike, it's complete freedom. You're just immersing yourself in nature and soaking up every moment of this precious life.
Yeah. You couldn't have explained that any better. The triathlon is very focused, and at least, for me, I really have to work hard on the swimming part of it just to make sure I get out of there alive, and then can do the two sports I enjoy a bit more. But yeah, the trail running for sure. I mean, it's just such a basic sport. You need your shoes and maybe a pack with some hydration and some food to go. And yeah, you can go anywhere. In terms of traveling, it's really easy to take your pair of running shoes with you and explore by foot.
And I mean, that what you said just draws so well in with this new global trend of re-energized focus onto health and well-being and fitness. And during the lockdown, we saw a lot more people taking to the streets, either walking or jogging or starting to run. And I think the reason why a lot of people have now started to embrace running, as you said, it's because it's simple and the cost to entry is very low. Do you think, in your opinion, that people will eventually get to a point where they start to focus more on the trails and adventures? Or on your journey from transitioning from road to trails, do you feel that it takes a bit more of a deeper soul searching before they want to experience nature?
Yeah, I guess that's a bit of a tricky one. Probably very, very personal to each person. I think the trick is just a lot of people see it as I'm not sure, like a bigger challenge than running on the road. So to find someone to go with, I think, is the trick. If you're not keen on exploring on your own, I guess. Which for me, I've luckily always had someone keen to do it with me, and it minimizes the times I went alone. And yeah, then going alone, there's an appreciation for that as well.
All right. Yeah, I think it's definitely like a group structure would probably be a bit, is the way to go for them there. Because,
Yeah.
I was going to ask you now, in terms of endurance, because one thing is being out in nature, but in your case, endurance is a way of life. How do you process going through these massive races? Because I want to understand how you think about it. If we had to just ask a random person, hey, would you cycle 200 kilometers? They'll think, you must be on something. How do you rise to these occasions? How do you condition your mind to actually, prep yourself to say, okay, we've got 200 Ks to go, let's get it done?
Yeah, I guess the more remote the event, it kind of forces you to carry on with the cycle event. For example, my first one, I was having a really tough time with all the corrugations, and I was on my hardtail mountain bike, and my dad and all his mates were on their full suspension bikes. And I said to my dad, I was like, I don't think I can do much more of this. And that was only at about kilometer 70. And he said, sure, you can stop, but I think the sweep vehicle is only going to come through here at 2 tomorrow morning, so you're going to have a lonely night out here. I said that's fair enough. I'll carry on, and as you carry on, it gets a bit better. And then for me, I just break it up with the individual sort of checkpoints. There's water points or checkpoints that you have to get to, and just make that your goal. And when you get there, you set on to the next one. And I find that helps a lot if you can separate it in that sense.
And how did that whole process shape your outlook on life in terms of building resilience and pushing through difficult situations? Do you feel that a lot of the lessons you've learned in these endurance runs and cycles have translated into real world application?
It's a tough one. I guess for me, the biggest thing has been learning and understanding patience a bit better. That everything will come with time. You just need to keep going, keep heading in the right direction. And yeah, as soon enough, something will come your way that you are really after. And in terms of sport, obviously, I guess that would be the end, the finish line. And in terms of life, I guess you could apply that in any sense. I'd always struggled a bit with patience growing up, and the more and more I do these events, the more I understand that, yeah, you just need to keep going.
Right. And in that, so keep going, there must have been a certain pain threshold you would have had to cross. For me, especially when I do these ultra marathons, the reason why I like running over 50, 60, 70 Ks in the bush alone is because you get to such a point where you initially go through so much pain, and then you're able to then control it and say, okay, pain, you can take a back seat now. I'm on the next level, in my mind and things.
Yeah.
And it's at that point where I'm able to see exactly who I am as a man, what my values are, what my vision is, how I want to have lived life. Do you feel something similar? And how do you get to that?
Yeah, I think for sure. The way you're saying it is probably perfect. You can't really describe it unless you've sort of been there yourself. And I think I probably get to it in a similar point. You reach a point where you feel like, right, you've sort of reached your limits, and then your mind for sure does kick over, and before you know it, you've done more than what you thought you could do times two, and then it just keeps going, and you find a nice balance where you can just keep ticking over and moving forward.
And that's a powerful weapon. Well, not even a weapon. It's a powerful personal performance tool to have in your personal toolbox as in terms of self-development, because once you get to that point, I always believe in using it as a reference point. So whatever I do in life, I always say, you know what, if I'm starting a business, I can say, you know what, entrepreneurship is a tough journey, but it can't be as tough as the 50 mile I did the other day, where it was 40 degrees and my feet were raw. And if I could do that, I'm sure I can do this. It's having that reference point, and for me personally as well, it gives me that sense of grounding to then up the stakes. We all started off with a 5K, then a 10K, 21, 42, 50, and then you sort of keep going. Did you find something similar? What was your process like in terms of that?
In terms of the sort of the distance progression, or
distance and life and the reference point?
Yeah, for sure. Small steps, not always. In terms of sport, I guess my dad was always interested in the sort of endurance side of the cycling, and so for me, I did their training with them. Never really did the smaller steps and the races up. The only time I did that was when I was forced to, just in age group.
Yes.
Just kept on looking forward to the next age group where I could go a bit further legally when I was doing it in training already. So yeah, in terms of business, the clothing side of things that I've been doing with my sister, I mean, that was all her brainchild and something she came up with in lockdown, and just saw a gap in the market for it and needed a bit of help with the registration side of things and all of that. So I just jumped straight in, didn't have much advice going in, and asked my dad here and there for advice. But yeah, I guess just learned that way. You just got to sit down sometimes and really just go through the motions, and you'll find the right answers somewhere.
And do you feel that you've achieved some sort of clarity in your life in terms of your overall mission on this earth in the time you're alive, in terms of what you want to do? Do you feel you've got a deeper sense of self-understanding?
Yeah, for sure. I guess as each year goes by, you understand further in which direction you want to go, and what you want to do. And I guess at the moment it's a bit of a crossroads for me. I'm here in Hungary and learning something completely new. And just as sort of last year or the year before, sort of thought I was just going to go into this and only do the business in South Africa with my sister and see if I'll find another job. And now I find myself here and trying to fit in travels and finding a job this side, and to allow me to travel further and see how that will all go. So yeah.
So I mean, that's just, you're living the ultimate lifestyle. You're excelling at sport, for one. You're an endurance athlete. You've done what most people aspire to achieve at some point in life. You've done that all now. You a co-owner of a business. You're in Hungary. You're traveling. So how do you fit all of this in your day? What does your day look like? If you could give us some advice on how to stay balanced, if balance is something you value, how do you make it all happen each day to maintain your sanity?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've grown up in a small town my whole life, and Stellenbosch as well. It's kind of pretty much still a small town, just a busy one at that.
Yes.
And now being in a city in Budapest, yeah, I can't just head out at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock for a run anymore. I can't start my day with something else, as the city just gets too busy and packed. So I found myself waking up pretty early and trying to get a run or something in quite early. And I've had to leave cycling mostly just to weekends when the roads are a bit quieter. Yeah, so I guess my day always starts with some sort of activity, just to clear my mind. And the days where I'm not running, I'll just go for a walk, walk along the river, or do something like that, grab a coffee. And for me, it's important just to get out, just to start every day outside and clear the mind a bit. And from there, it's pretty much just been going to coffee shops a lot lately. I'm still waiting for my address card so I can get my Wi-Fi sorted out at home. And yeah, then cram in a bit of organizing and work with the business at home and applying for some other jobs and doing all of that sort of thing. And then, yeah, heading home, and then in the evening can fit in another bit of exercise if I'm feeling up for it. And yeah, that's pretty much been the flow of things late for the last month or so.
And I mean, on this whole journey now, what gave you the courage to want to leave your comfort zone, leave South Africa and go to Hungary and step into the unknown? Because I'm sure you don't have any family there, or do you have family there?
No, none at
Nothing.
all.
So what drove you to make that leap and that
Yeah,
transition?
just managed to get the visa to come this side and have a few South African friends. Well, not friends, they're friends now, and for sure, just through mutual connections that I've met officially here. So there was, I guess, a bit of a link, obviously, to get here. But for me, I've just always wanted to travel and see more of the world and try to do it as much as I can while I'm still able to run and
Right.
yeah, be active, I guess. Because yeah, don't think I would enjoy traveling as much if I can't have the active side of things. And yeah, being in this side of Europe for sure, I think that there's so much. It has so much to offer. Underrated sort of trails and all sorts of things. On Easter weekend, I linked up with another South African, and we just caught the bus down to Slovenia. And yeah, it was a mind-blowing experience for me just to see a whole nother culture. And yeah, it's a 4-hour bus ride, and it feels like you're on a different continent. It's honestly incredible. So for me, that's why I wanted to leave, and I'm so glad I did it.
And for any other South African who wants to make the leap of faith and go to a country they haven't been in, what sort of lessons and advice can you give them just to make the journey a bit smoother?
Yeah, well, it's tough. I guess every country, I'm sure, is a bit different. I saw the whole experience with Georgie going over to the Netherlands to further her studies there, and I'm not sure. Hopefully, if you can find someone in that city or country that you're going to, and if possible, they've kind of gone through the process that you need to go through. But yeah, I would say just do it. You'll figure it out very quickly. I think South Africans are quite resourceful in that sense, and will always sort of make a plan just to keep going.
100%. We're very resilient, adaptable and
Yeah,
resilient.
yeah, for sure. Sure.
Definitely have that reputation anywhere around the world.
Yeah.
For South Africans are known for that.
Yeah.
And in terms of when you look back or when you look on your life now, what were sort of some of the biggest lessons you've learned? Because this journey would have given you a whole lot of wisdom, not only about yourself, but taking you on places and adventures. And as you said, now you're in Hungary, working on further travels. What 3 biggest life lessons could you sort of share with us on your journey to life that's helped you become the man you have become?
Wow. Yeah, I think the patience thing probably comes back. Just knowing that things will fall in place. I had planned to come here about 1.5 years ago, and only ended up getting here a month and a bit ago. So with COVID and everything, it's a few times I thought it actually wasn't going to happen, and then it eventually happened, and I'm really glad I stuck with it. So yeah, for sure, the patience is probably the biggest thing for me. And yeah, in terms of adapting as well, you need patience to adapt to different environments and different places. So yeah, for sure that. And then just trusting myself just to do things, sign up and do it, even though you can't think you might think you can't achieve those goals. Just sign up and do it. And I had a great digs where I was living in Stellenbosch, where everyone just sort of had the same mindset, and there was always someone willing to challenge someone else to just better themselves. And yeah, so just taking that sort of leap and just trusting, and just always look at what the worst case scenario could be, and quite often it really isn't that bad. So why not go for it?
100%. I love that. Those are 3 things that I really resonate with as well. Most people, I think don't want to make that jump or do something difficult because they don't feel they're 100% ready. But as in all things in life, you're never going to have that perfect moment to make a transition to something. There'll always be a bit of uncertainty and a bit of self-doubt that'll creep in. But it's in that moment you just have to say, you know what, I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be. Take the leap of faith. And like you said, assess the worst case scenario and say, you know what, it's not that bad. The worst thing could be living a life of regret. I personally strive not to live with regret. So every decision I do, I ask myself, will I have an experience that I can look back on fondly when I'm older? Is it something that money can't really buy? So in that respect, prioritizing an experience like traveling versus hoarding a lot of cash just for nothing. And then the third thing is make sure that while you have the opportunity, you do it then, because you don't know if the chance will come back again.
Yeah,
so
that's so true.
I really resonate with that as well. I mean, that was very wise, Ben. That was very wise.
Well, making it sound as if I've got all the answers, but I really don't. We keep learning.
And that's a beautiful philosophy and outlook to have as well, because we're all just students of life. We all have different backgrounds, different stories, and we're just trying to journey it the best way we can, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so I mean, in that respect, I just try and make sure my philosophy is just constantly be open to new ideas, new options, new opportunities, and then make sure your heart, mind, and soul is in a happy place, and then give it the best.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And I think lastly, if there's someone out there who's inspired by your story, what last words of wisdom would you leave for them?
Wow, that's a tough one. Maybe they're inspired.
You're a wise man, Ben. You're a wise man.
No. I told you that. Don't be fooled by my answers. I'm still learning. Wow. I think you've stumped me there. I wouldn't know what to leave them, but other than just keep challenging yourself, inspiring yourself to grow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Never stop.
I love it. That's perfect. That's perfect. Be a better person than they were the day before. Aim to be anyway. So
yeah, for sure. Even if it's every day is a bit tough, just make weekly or monthly goals and just make achievable goals as well, so you don't just break yourself down for not achieving them, and have a few big ones. And if they come around, then that's great. But if they don't, you keep going.
100%. You're not defined by your goals. You're defined by trying to be a better person.
Exactly. It's the whole process.
No, that is absolutely fantastic. And I mean, I've really enjoyed speaking to you here. So, with that, I just want to thank you for your time. And I'd also like to thank you. Thank you, Ben. It's been an absolute privilege. And to all our viewers as well, thank you so much for tuning into our show. What we'll do is we'll put Ben's social media details in the comment box below, so that you can follow his journey as he continues to make his mark on the world, racing at ultra marathons, and just living a life of adventure. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Until next time, cheers.